Hello, welcome to Capital Region Watch on community television. My name is Jack Etkin. I'm going to be the host of this show for a while at least. We're going to be talking about local issues and trying to figure out what's going on in our city. Our first guest is Nancy Di Castri. And Nancy, maybe you can tell us how you got involved, or who you are, and how you got involved in this particular issue, which we'll be talking about shortly.
Well, I'm a longtime resident of Quadra McKenzie. We built a house there 20 years ago. And we got involved because, well, the first thing that happened for us is we realized that there was a developer that had written an offer on the property behind us and wanted to build 300 units that would literally be towering over our homes.
Okay, I'll just mention that we are talking about the Quadra McKenzie Plan, which some of you may have heard of. I know virtually nothing about it, and I'm learning from Nancy now, and you're sort of in the middle of this Quadra McKenzie Plan.
Exactly. So this is what made us start to focus on the Quadra McKenzie Plan. I had received this brochure in the mail, and it was just kind of a glossy brochure, and it said, would you like to be part of, the future of Saanich and planning and this kind of thing, and it was really innocuous. So I thought, well, I'd always liked the direction that Saanich had taken us, so no. And as time went by, I started talking to a couple of people, and they said, have you seen this plan that, that they're talking about high rises and into neighborhoods? And so we started looking more closely at it. We went to a couple of pop-up sessions.
What's a pop-up session?
A pop-up session is, there was down at Quadra McKenzie where Thrifties is. They had rented a space there, and the room was full of very, very upset people. And you were allowed to write on a Post-it note you couldn't comment on the plan itself, but you could comment on aspects of the plan. And you could write this on a little Post-it note. Well, there was a lot of really, like bold writing and all over the board kind of thing. And we got talking to a planner, and we were saying, what is happening here? So I went outside, and there was a lot of, quite a few upset people. And so we got home, and we got talking with our neighbors, and we thought, I'm not sure that people are really aware of this plan. And so we got together as a group, and there was about 12 of us in this kind of steering committee, and we started knocking on doors. And we took the maps of, different neighborhoods had different maps, and we took Saanich's own maps from their Quadra McKenzie draft plan, and we said, are you aware that this is what Saanich is planning? And if the plan goes through, what they want to do is support this kind of development in your neighborhood. So a lot of people had heard, what they'd heard about the plan was the traffic component. And I don't know if you'd heard that the plan was to take McKenzie into a single lane in either direction.
I did hear something about that, and that's what I thought the plan was.
That's what most people had. And so what they wanted to do was develop a complete street where there would be a single lane in each direction for cars, and then there would be the rapid bus lanes, and then there would be the cycling lanes, and then there would be the sidewalks. So when we were saying to people, have you heard about the Quadra McKenzie Plan? Probably the 10% that had heard said, yeah, that's crazy, that single lane traffic on McKenzie, that, they'll never work. We said, well, are you aware of what the density could be? And no. So of course we had the map, and we were showing people, and we were saying, if you could sign our petition and leave a comment. And so the petition started to grow. And so that's how we got started with Save Our Saanich.
So I did hear that the street thing has already been changed. They've said they're not going to do the single lane on McKenzie. I heard Teal Bondaroff on, I remember the date, October 15th, and I was driving along in the car, and who is Teal Bondaroff?
He's one of the councillors.
Okay,
and so he was rolling this plan out, and he was on CFAX. And I remember that Ryan Price saying to him, I don't understand how this is going to work. Like, this is just, how is this going to work? And he started talking about how many accidents there were, and there was going to be traffic calming. And what they really wanted to do was get more people on the buses, get more people on bicycles, and basically socially engineer, the people that lived in Saanich and get them out of their cars and onto the bus and onto a bicycle. The demographic in Saanich is just not, it's not there. Most people, they live there because they take their kids to soccer on the weekends and they shop at Costco and they're not riding bikes.
No, but
And
we're
they're not
living a
riding the bus.
lifestyle that's going to destroy the planet, so we do have to take that into account.
Absolutely. I mean, I drive an electric car. I have for 5 years, and I'm very aware of that.
So the main component, so the road thing has been changed a bit.
So because there was such huge pushback about that, then now they're saying, oh, no, we never said that.
Yeah.
We never said that. Look over there. That was part of the plan. It's just the pushback was so voracious that I think they just...
So the main thing that's left is the density part of the plan and the changes that are going to come in all the neighborhoods, not just at the Quadra McKenzie intersection, which is what I thought this plan was all about, but it's along Quadra and along McKenzie for quite a ways.
And back into the neighborhoods. So not just on the corridors, but back into the neighborhoods.
So the plan will extend into, and what is the plan?
Well, the plan, so there's not a single family home on the plan. Now, in fairness, David Eby has, through Bill 44, he's eliminated all single-family zoning. There is none left.
So you're saying there is no single-family zoning left in
BC.
In BC.
In BC.
So if you live in a neighborhood of single-family homes, that means any developer can come in and...
So a developer in Victoria, you can build 6. Victoria started with a missing middle before actually Bill 44 was enacted. So they had said we need the housing, we need the density. You can build 6 units on a single lot. With Bill 44 in Saanich, you can build 4 units on a single lot. And there's no, you can't, it's not going to go to a public hearing so when you'll know that there's 4 units going to be built next to you is when the bulldozer arrives.
So a developer can purchase a house that's for sale?
Yep.
Any single family house, as long as the lot is bigger than...
I believe it's 3,000 square feet.
Okay.
So it's
and put up
pretty
4
small.
units?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and really I had no idea about any of this. And everybody's busy and nobody knows what's going on, and that's a big part of the plan. They don't want anybody to know what's going on.
Well, it is a big part of the plan because people are upset.
So have we covered the proposed zoning changes, or do you want to go into that a bit more?
Well, with the zoning, it's a top-down plan. So really what you're trying to do, or what planning is trying to do, is fit the community into the plan, where it really should be a bottom-up plan where you say, okay, here's the community that we have, and in Saanich, 60% live in single-family homes, 10% in townhousing. So I consider a townhouse like a single family. So you've got 70% of the community that live in single family, and yet you want to plop these 6-story buildings. And I say 6-story by their definition.
Now, we were just talking a minute ago about 4-unit. Now we're talking about 6-story.
Right.
And 6-story is only the beginning, because there's also 20-story.
And that will be near the transit hubs, within a 400-meter radius of. So that'll be in the
400-meter radius of a transit hub. 400 meters is a long way, and that's only going in one direction.
In all directions. So right now, the transit hubs that have been identified are at Gordon Head and McKenzie.
Gordon Head and McKenzie.
Royal Oak,
Okay.
because there's a Royal Oak Exchange there. One out by the hospital, and then one at Uptown Mall. So those are the ones that have been identified. There's been talk, I don't know if there'll be one at Quadra McKenzie. But it will mean much, much greater density.
So at Quadra McKenzie, that is where right now Saanich's public works yard is.
That's at McKenzie and Borden.
Yeah,
Yes.
right next to
but,
Quadra
but
McKenzie,
close,
a
yes.
block away. So what is the plan for that particular piece of land? Because I've heard there's major development planned for that spot.
So my rudimentary understanding of that is that the yard will stay there, so people will continue to take their refuse to the yard. I believe it's divided by a creek, and that they'll move the offices and they're older buildings for sure, and they'll move those to a new site, which is down by the Lochside Trail.
Okay.
So.
And then built on that site will be?
And then build on that site. And I believe they want to do something in conjunction with the developer. Saanich would have the land, a developer would build the building. Right. So
6-story, 10-story?
No, I think they'll be higher. I think they're talking about 18 stories.
Okay. So that's, let's say, at the corner of Quadra, virtually Quadra and McKenzie, yeah. 18 stories. That's a big change for...
It is a big change because Saanich is, I don't know if you've driven out Quadra Street, but...
Who hasn't?
It's old growth, scary oaks. It's people have lived there. Some people have lived there for 50 years. They've raised their kids there. They don't want to move.
You're talking about Quadra north of McKenzie.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is that part of the Quadra McKenzie
Yes,
plan?
it is.
Okay. So that means that in that neighborhood, which, as you say, is a very old style residential neighborhood, they plan to have a lot of development.
They do, and that's going to be a tough.
Okay. So, did Saanich consult with residents before making this plan?
Well, there was a couple of focus groups, and they were self-selected, the people that, there was a couple of lobby group, well, one lobby group in particular. And I know that one of the groups was school board members, members of other municipalities. But I would argue the most special interest group, or the biggest stakeholder, would have been the community, because this is what was going to be happening in our community, and we weren't part of the process. And so just over a year ago, the original plan showed a lot more orange along the corridor. So orange is low rise, low rise, which is 2 to 3 stories, and duplexing, townhousing, that sort of thing. So that was the original iteration of the plan. And then as a result of a focus group in January, it was noted that there was general support to turn the orange into blue. But we're not sure who the general support was from.
What is blue?
Blue is mid-rise.
Okay, so you're going from 2 stories or townhouses to
5 to 11 stories.
5 to 11 stories, yeah. I often wonder, what happens to our city councilors after we elect them? I mean, it seems they get taken over by someone else, and no one is less relevant to the decision making than the citizens who elected the council in the first place. They're just pushed aside. The council gets told of these great plans and they buy into it, and their job is to push the citizens aside and do what is told to them.
And it feels that that's what's happening. So there are pro-development lobby groups, and they are organized, they write, they show up, they speak. So for all intents and purposes, you've got, like the other night at Saanich a week ago, you had 46 of the residents that spoke in opposition to the plan. You had 21 young, organized. They were part of the cycling lobby, part of the Homes for Living lobby. And they all got up and spoke. And so a lot of them don't even live in the Quadra McKenzie area. So it would be a bit like me having a lobby group behind the scenes and lobbying for density or something over in Burnside, Tillicum, where I don't live. I have no problem, as I said, with cycling initiatives, but I would feel that in fairness, come out from behind the shadows and just say who you are. Say, I'm part of the cycling lobby. I don't live in Quadra McKenzie, but I really support bike lanes along there. And I know the Quadra McKenzie Plan has bike lanes in the plan as well. Because we have been saying all along, we understand that we need more density. We're not, because we've gone basically from zero to nothing was happening in Saanich. You could barely even have a basement suite. We've gone from that to all of a sudden the prospect of a 6-story building looming over top of you.
Or a 20-story building looming over
well,
top of you.
yes, I think the really high ones will be more a commercial adjacent, so it'll be more at the centers. But I think, we've been saying, build townhousing, build duplexes, fourplexes. That would never have happened 3 or 4 years ago. So we're not saying don't build. So can't you build simultaneously in the suburbs, build this kind of density? So let's not ruin the suburbs. Start building the higher density, if that's what you want to build, in the centers, and then see how that goes. There was a man that stood up and spoke last week, and he said, I have 8 children, and he said, never once have we sat around the table and they said, gee, Dad, when I grow up, I want to live in a 6-story building and raise my children there. I don't think that people want to live in these high rises. I don't think there's a sense of community. And what they've been trying to do with the plan is sell these as vibrant 15-minute villages. It's not a village to live in a high rise. People don't know their neighbors. There's no green space. It's just not, I don't think it's a viable plan.
It's funny because to me, it's the developers and the government who've created this housing disaster over the last 20 or 30 years. And now they're coming into all the neighborhoods and saying, well, it's your fault, and we're taking away all your rights in many ways. And the developers can come in and do what they want. They're giving the city to the developers.
Exactly.
As if they cared about the people who don't have homes when they're the ones who have caused the disaster in the first place. It is absolutely bizarre.
And they've given them access to areas that they never would have had access to before. You could never be a developer and build a 6-story in a residential neighborhood. Yeah. So all of a sudden they've got
Except
access.
In James Bay.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. So it's happening, it's growing, it's spreading. I'm wondering what the real, we do have a shortage of housing.
Yep.
There's no question about that, but I don't know what the solutions are. I don't know if you have any solutions.
Well, I don't understand why you can't simultaneously build. There is more on the market right now. The vacancy rate is ticked up by 1%, and it's interesting. I've talked to a couple of people a couple of days ago, and both of them were saying, one woman said, I've been trying to rent my basement suite since December. I get no calls whatsoever. The other woman said she lowered her price, finally rented her, and she said, I have a brand new basement suite. She said, it's beautiful. My kids lived there. And she said, normally I have to cut off the calls. I get so much, I can't deal with it. And she said nothing. I was getting no calls. No calls. Okay. The market has changed. And I always feel that politicians are always late to the party.
Nancy, we're down to a minute and a half left. Can you maybe just say something about the Gary Oak situation? And
So Gary Oak Meadows, that ecosystem is one of the most important in Canada, and we're down to about 5% left. And it's so, Saanich used to treat it as something so important. In 2010, there was they commissioned an urban tree canopy study, and it was very well researched, and they identified these different Gary Oak meadows and the biodiversity. And then 2024 came along, and instead of the tree preservation that we'd all been used to.
Nancy, we're out of time.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'll just say this to finish off. Anybody who walks or drives from Victoria City Hall to Saanich City Hall, that entire area is covered with car dealerships and parking lots. All the housing we need could be put in there. The area, it's 2 blocks wide, right from Victoria City Hall to Saanich City Hall, parking lots. But thank you everybody for watching our first segment of Capital Regional Watch on community television.